Welcome back all, Dads from Model Railway Techniques. This week I've got Will James up from Will James Railway. Changing continents this time, so I'm going to keep it a little bit more closer to home. So this chap is from Australia. So we talk about all things his prototype photography, and he's doing some lovely product reviews on his YouTube channel. I'll put all the links below. Don't forget to subscribe, like, hit that little bell icon to be notified of upcoming content. Also got a Patreon page, so a big shout out to my patrons out there that help me out to keep the channel rolling. So without further ado, let's get started. Thinly lighting without wiring, so powerful yet so easy. DwarvenEnterprises.com. Dwarven Enterprises will be offering MRT viewers a 10% discount on all sales. Use the code word MRT2021 to get this deal. Welcome aboard, Will James from Will James Railways. Thank you for taking time away from your photography, family, friends and everything to chat with me at Model Railway Techniques tonight.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
No problems. Now, it's actually quite good because I've said tonight, normally I'm talking to people in America. It's most of my channel watchers, and it's normally either in the morning or early in the morning, and anyway. It's hard to get your head around sometimes, but that's fine. So
I can only imagine. Yeah.
Okay, so you can be found. You got an Instagram, you got a Facebook, Will James Railway. I'll put the links to all this stuff below. All these places you can come find Will. He's also got a lovely website, willjamesrailways.com, and also Will James Railway on his YouTube. That's how I came across one of your, I think, April product reviews for Precision or something similar. So welcome. As I said, lovely chatting with another Australian or Aussie from the southern part of the world.
Absolutely. Best part.
I always like to get to know people, how they've got into the hobby and how our lives are now sort of collided with each other to chat with us on Model Railway Techniques. So how did you get into model trains?
Yeah, so growing up, I guess it's something that's always been there. I guess my father introduced it to me. Go to a lot of model railway shows in the 90s. And then we used to go to AMRA, which I'm now a member of, a lot, but was never a member. We didn't have I guess I had a layout. I had a piece of it was a lifelike set and a table in the shed that ran around. And yeah, I did that for, a long time. But then got into, your teenage years and model trains aren't too cool and everything gets in the way and you kind of goes by the wayside. And then when I was in my late 20s, I got right back into it. And I found a hobby that I really, really enjoy. I like the people in it. And it kind of incorporates a lot of different things from like my photography background and the actual hobby itself and being out, and there's always something going on, which, I really like. So, I guess I know that just spanned quite a period of time really quickly,
that's fine.
So just always kind of had it as an influence in my life, and now it's something that I'm like, this could be more than just a hobby, maybe. And I guess that's kind of how we've got to this point.
So you touched on influences very quickly. So who would be an influence within your modelling in your life right now? It could be multiple, whether it's someone
right now,
right home, overseas, anyone.
I think that one of the best influences is Luke Towan. He's incredibly, and I think he was the first, especially Australian, that I watched where I was like, maybe I could give this kind of thing a go. And I always look at Australian YouTubes. Unfortunately, they don't tend to do that well, I feel. But then, he's just gone and done it and nailed it. And it's like, but he's definitely probably the biggest influence. And then I watch a lot of Cam Patterson, model railroad hobbyist.
The dude, as they call him, the dude.
Absolutely. And that's his entire life. And I was like, that'd be all right. I mean, I realize for me, this is very early days, but, it's someone to to look up to, I suppose.
Yeah,
And
sure.
so it'd be between those two
Yeah, lovely.
for influences for sure.
It's quite interesting you say about Australian channels and not doing that well. For whatever reason, my channel has gone sort of 70% American, obviously, which sort of led me down to interviewing American people, and I'm trying to pull it back. I want to start. I've interviewed, obviously now yourself. I don't know if you know Marty Jenkins in Queensland.
Mm-hmm.
Brad Anderson, also another one from New South Wales, rural New South Wales. They're the two Australians that I sort of knock around with. You might not know those names, but they're heavily, I don't know if you've seen the phenomena called NMRAX, which is the live streaming. They're him and the Gordy Robertson, who's now the president of the MRA, are the brains behind that. So it's two Australians,
Right.
a Scottish gentleman, obviously Gordy, and a Texan run that whole thing. So, go Aussie.
Absolutely. So are you an NR? I'm going to get it. I always go to NRMA, which is the insurance company.
NMRAX, yeah.
Yeah. Are you a member?
No.
With them?
No. I'm thinking of joining purely because now I got to know sort of Gordy through. I've had him on my channel before, and I just clicked with him. I've got him coming up hopefully in a few weeks' time. He's expecting another baby. Congrats there, Gordy. Well, he's not. His wife or his lovely partner is giving birth. But so he has just recently become the president. Obviously, after they've had some elections, and you know what, I sort of got along well with him. He's a bit younger than what I am, but he's sort of early 30s and does not fit the demographic for model trains as you and I probably both don't. I'm just sliding in now at 46, but
that's all good.
Yeah.
But I think that's great. It's an organisation I've always been curious about, but only really just realised that they actually have an Australian kind of chapter. I suppose is the best way to look at it. Which I'm very curious to know more about. Now, but I've only just started looking because I saw the Facebook event come up for the online event. Yeah. So I'm keen to watch that. But
they're good fun. I've done one clinic so far on computerization of a model train or model railway.
Yeah.
So that was the one I did. That's sort of one of my passions. So, which is good. It was good fun. Very stressful.
That's using like JMRI or
I use a program called Train Controller. So, which is a German train controller's free. Does a lot if you know how to program. Train controller does a lot. You need to know less coding. So, but it costs you money, obviously. So,
gotcha.
That's the big difference between the two. So,
right.
Favorite part of modeling?
The favorite part. It's actually I'd say it's probably the community. What I've noticed lately, especially like last night, for example, we had a DCC meet at AMRA in Melbourne, and it's a genuinely good time. Like everyone's, that group is, like you said something before about not being in that general demographic of model railway enthusiasts. Everyone was under 40 or majority under 30, and you just hang out and talk, and it's always a very positive experience, and I think that's something fantastic. And that's actually my favorite part of it is I've made a lot of friends, and it's that's easily my favorite part.
Nice. So for those of us that don't know, AMRA stands for
Australian Model Railway Association.
Nice.
So we have a branch. There's a branch in Melbourne, in Glen Iris, where we have a club room and quite a large HO layout, as well as a G-scale garden layout. Which I do not have garden stuff, but I do have HO, and we have a lot of different sessions from different themes and things. I've got DCC Australian, so I go to a lot of those meets, and it's nice. It's fantastic.
Yeah, good. I might put a link to them below if you're happy with that.
Absolutely.
To push the cause. So
I
reckon I saw some photos, maybe on your website, I think, and they're probably flashing by. Some of these are from various shows that you've been to over the last few years, and and I think from AMRA as well. So that's great. So
yeah, quite a lot. There'll be quite a lot from the club rooms.
Yeah,
I usually take a camera. So yeah.
Least favorite part of modeling so far?
Least favorite. Ooh. I don't want to say the price. That's least favorite.
It could be scenery or particular part of wiring you don't like.
Yeah,
I don't like ballasting. So
yeah, right. No, I honestly haven't found anything that I really detest. Yeah, everything's pretty good so far. I've started, not started. I mean, behind me is the very bare bones of a layout, and the thing I struggled with, or am struggling with, would be a wiring aspect and trying to get my head around it. However, the beauty of being part of a club is information is only a click away. Just to ask someone, hey, is this right? And you've usually got an answer pretty quick. And that's coming back to that better part of the best aspect of the hobby is just having people who are happy to give you information. Like they're not going to, keep it all to themselves, which... but no, nothing too bad. The price. We'll just go with that. Just the money pit that it has become. But it's all good. It's not a bad thing.
It's at least something you got something to show for the money. It's not like you're
absolutely
going down to the hotel or the pub each day and wasting it against the urinal. So
that's absolutely,
to put it politically correct. So so what sort of DCC you're looking at running?
I've actually got a Digitrax. I bought a second-hand DB150 and a remote, and at the moment, and that's what the club uses. Yep. So it was all pretty straightforward. However, I've been looking at possibly getting the TCS, the new controller from them. That looks pretty neat.
Yep.
One of the guys at the club had it the other night, and it looks pretty good, but I'm really not sure at the moment on what I'll run. I think at the moment, for what it is, I'll just stick with my Digitrax system.
Yeah. It's always best to... I run a Roco Z21. It's Austrian.
Yep.
Because it's people that I know run it, so all I can probably suggest to whoever, if you've got people that have run it, whatever system you choose, most of them, the top brands, Digitrax, Roco, TCS, and a few of those, and maybe Ecos and things like that. They're same but different. Obviously different interfaces, but they're very similar in how they operate, is my understanding. So,
absolutely. I'm always curious, and it's something which I probably should look into a bit more. Is the mobile phone app ones? That looks like it would be by far the easiest, I guess, like for consisting and everything like that. But I just haven't, I suppose.
Yeah, well, that's where you can. That's where if you're later on you want to branch out into JMRI or something like that, or Train Controller, or depending on there's other iTrain, there's various programs around there. I know JMRI and Train Control that I run, you can have full integration with a mobile phone, where you can actually have your switch panels instead of like back in the day. You might have wires coming back to a panel so you can select your turnouts and the like. As long as you've got decoders going, or stationary decoder going to your turnout, you can do everything off a tablet or a computer, it's what I do. So which saves a lot of wiring.
I can only imagine, but that's a really cool aspect. I mean, much more exciting.
I love the computer side of things. That's my thing. So unfortunately, I don't get enough time. But anyway, that's another. Okay, layout plans. You briefly said over your back shoulder there, you're getting into a layout. Obviously, you've been a member of a club for quite a while, so you've had the luxury of running on a beautiful club layout. So tell us a little about the layout plan.
Looking at what I collect, which is mainly Victorian railways and a bit of South Australian, a bit of New South Wales stuff, I'm thinking, I guess, a fictional place which would sit somewhere either on the Northeast Main Line or the Adelaide, or what was the Adelaide line. Because I've got a mix. It's not just broad gauges, standard gauge stuff as well. It seems to be more standard gauge now. So it'll just be something fictional. It'll just be probably a single main line running through a small yard with a silo at one end. It won't, at this point, it's not around the room. It's more going to be almost a diorama, I suppose, more for, I guess, the YouTube aspect. So I've got somewhere that I can test locos and a bit of photography, but it'll all be modular. It'll be able to be lifted and moved and changed and everything like that. But it's just a matter of, I guess, getting started. So I've got the bench work there, which was just, honestly, it's just from IKEA. It's just modular benches all just together. And then, going back to the Luke Towan thing, the video released on building, I think it was a museum quality layout or diorama. I'm going to be honest, I'm just going to copy how he built his.
Nothing wrong with that.
Not at all. I mean, that's why he makes them, isn't it? Like,
yeah, that's right.
And then we'll go from there and see what happens and, keep working away at it. So I keep meaning. I will start a video series on when I do start layout construction.
Yeah, nice,
but at the moment, it's just, working it all out and seeing what will fit and what won't fit.
Sure. So HO scale?
Yes.
Yep. What you were looking at?
I've got HO. I do have some Japanese N that I picked up.
Intriguing. Yeah.
In Japan, it blew me away, like going into their hobby stores, and they've all got big layouts in there that get rented out. And I thought I'd get a souvenir and ended up with some Japanese N scale, and then I've got some, I guess it's Welsh. It's a HOE 009.
Right.
I can't remember which variant it is, which I picked up overseas as well.
Yep.
But they're just, they're not going to go anywhere. I think it'll just be I might build something, a little diorama or something. But majority is HO.
Yeah, sure. What sort of era are you looking at? Obviously, if you're looking at maybe South Australian, you're maybe looking at more VR, SAR type stuff.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
70s and 80s, I suppose. Maybe not 90s, but 70s and 80s. So
yeah, I mean up to 95, 94.
Okay.
I think you can go to. I did try to stay in an era, but now I'm not so much. Like I've got some modern stuff. So I think it'll just be pretty generic. Like like that's Southern Australian, Western District kind of look, and that'll be pretty.
Well, I run eras 1 and 2 European steam, but I still run container trains being pulled by NRs. So
right.
Doesn't quite look right, but I just also I've collected sort of 930 classes. AN and also SAR, South Australian Railways, and Australian National for Americans if they're going to watch it, I suppose. From the 70s, I suppose that more is the 900, 930 class, and that's sort of used to see them trundling past my grandparents' place here in Adelaide. So, which was
fantastic.
Always nice. So
absolutely.
So, what sort of locomotives are you looking at? What sort of classes, locomotives are you into?
That's a good question. I mean, I've got a lot of Victorian Railways stock. I've got a lot of, I guess, shorter engines. I've got a lot of T's, P's, H's. But I've also just picked up, a couple of months ago, I got the new Precision release for the B classes. I just finished shooting a review for the 900s. I got one of those in AN the other day, which has been really nice to run. So there's a lot of hood locos, I suppose. Because I've got a few X's. Yeah, a lot of hood.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, nice as well.
They definitely make a good product, do Precision. So
yes, absolutely.
Sort of at some stage, one of my projects, many projects that I got going as we do as model railroaders, that I want to totally gut probably NR or maybe a DL class, Australian National. Yeah. I interviewed a chap, probably 4 or 5 months ago now, called Nick Santos. He's from the United States. He's from the East Coast United States, and he does these things called Dakota Buddies, which is basically a totally integrated lighting function board that replaces most motherboards in locomotives. So the Dakota plugs into it, and it's just a dream. It's just some of the lighting these These people. If you want, I'll send you the link.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's phenomenal sort of technology, and it's just simple board where you can connect up your what would you call them? Your capacitor discharge units, or not capacitor discharge, but the keeper lives.
Yeah.
That type of thing, and it's just because obviously a lot of these decoders now, depending on whether you're using ESU or soundtracks or whatever, they've got quite nearly 24 functions on them, so that you can access
which is something that I've found is not a problem, but is becoming a problem. Is with the older Digitrax decoders, getting into those upper numbers is quite difficult.
Yeah.
Which for making reviews and things like that hasn't been ideal. But the sheer amount of programming you can, numbers you can program into them now is
that's right.
It's getting a bit excessive. Oh, not excessive, but
there's a lot you can do.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's exciting.
These guys are doing obviously number board lights, and these are all controlled individually. They're doing obviously ditch lights, and they're doing lights in stairwells, and they're doing lights in backs of where the motors sit, and then they're doing like the gangway lights between walking down the side of the locomotive. Just unbelievable amount of wiring. Like I think he said one of the locomotives one of his customers was doing is like 36 LEDs or something ridiculous.
Right.
Little SMD surface mounts diodes. So crazy stuff.
Unreal. That's exciting. Like that's the hobby progressing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So he's interesting bloke, really interesting bloke. So we talked about DCC. Rolling stock, you said Vicky Rail, obviously you've talked about. So what within that, there's obviously a rather large scope. You're looking at animal containers, tank cars, I suppose, would be in there as well. And
absolutely. Yeah, I mean it is a pretty vast array. There's always, and I mean almost everything seems to have run here at some point. Guessing because we've got the dual gauges. So almost everything's on the cards for Victoria. But a lot of grain at the moment, a lot of containers, got a fuel train that's pretty well complete. Yeah, quite a lot. I'm pretty excited for the new Overland set when that comes out, although I think a lot of people are.
Have you ordered one of those?
Not yet. The problem is there's too many models coming out, not enough money. I think that's the problem at the moment.
$1,200 a set as well.
I get why it's
a big
that price, but absolutely. And I want the new e-cars that are about to be re-released. They've got steam rail ones in there, and the Seymour ones, which I'm pretty keen to get because the J's coming out, and the K's eventually. There's a lot. And it's something I heard someone say the other day. It's not that we're quite talking about this, but some people say that hobbies as a whole's dying because I guess it's the general age of the person into model railways. But we've got all this new stuff coming out and all these
I know.
new things. I'm like, I don't know why people think that. It's clearly
it's just the negative Nellies, as they call them. I don't know if you listen to a podcast. If you've listened to the dude on his podcast, his video podcast, Ken Patterson, that is. You've heard A Modeler's Life podcast, which is just purely an audio podcast out of Canada?
He interviewed him the other day.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name. Lawrence Strain. Yeah. I haven't yet. No.
Get onto it. It's hilarious. And he talks about just that point about the hobby's dying, and and he's basically proving that wrong, saying, well, this is all these people, all this community, as you rightfully pointed out, that all these new companies are releasing new stuff, but maybe the whole bricks and mortar side of things, if they're not moving with the time with online sales and that type of thing, they may be a threat. And they definitely are here in Adelaide, I know that.
Yes.
But the online stuff is just going gangbusters.
Absolutely. And I think it's only going to get better. You look at, I know hasn't quite gotten here yet, but all these smaller manufacturers that are going to start popping up, making, I guess, very customized 3D printed things.
Yeah.
I think that's something, like I mentioned it in the previous April product news video.
Yeah.
Control P, just someone at home producing what seems to be quite a popular modification now for the new Tangaras. And they're just doing it themselves, and that'll probably seems to be doing quite well. So
I came across him. I don't know where I came across him. Probably through your channel, actually. Just on that, I've started a little 3D cottage business up myself, but I do sort of animals and a few cars here and there.
Okay, awesome.
I'm looking at doing a few other more of Australian sort of theme things, obviously, because I live in this part of the world, and railway signs and all that type of thing I'm doing as well. So
fantastic!
It's getting there.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Will you do them painted, or it'll just be in kind of a kit form?
So the animals and all that, the one, depending on the colour of the resin, because obviously you can buy different. You can either got clear, white, or grey.
Mm-hmm.
If they're clear or they're white, I'm sort of undercoating with a grey primer and selling them that way. So, because the trouble is, once you start getting into painting them, it takes a lot of time. And obviously, time is money, and some people like enjoying that side of things as well. If you sort of get them to at least undercoat them and get all the sprues off and all that type of thing. But it's good fun.
No, awesome.
Yeah,
that's really exciting.
Good fun. So now this layout. Do you have operations in mind? You know what I mean by operations is
yes, absolutely.
Shunting trains around some sort of like a miniature transportation type system.
In short, no. I think if I had the room and could build something a bit larger, absolutely, I would. I think that's, I'd love to be able to do operations. But not on this one. This will just be pretty much very aesthetic, and that's about it.
There is you'd be surprised what you can do in a small layout. There's quite a few YouTube channels around. If you just go in and Google just that, you'd be surprised that, they're 4x8 with only maybe a foot wide, what people are doing. It's incredible.
Yeah,
just even if it's just a little bit of staging one end, hidden staging, or just a few tracks, you'd be surprised what you can shunt around. So
there's no reason I couldn't, I suppose.
Yeah.
Having said that, if I made one end staging.
Yeah.
Now that you've said
it
out loud. Yeah, a little bit. Because I'll get back to you on that one.
Old 50 as they call it, can also be your staging as well. So
true. Yeah.
You need to change track. So
yeah, absolutely.
So does your club run sort of formal operations sessions, or are you more just?
They do a way-bill session, which would be the closest thing to it.
Yeah.
But not really.
No.
We've spoken really briefly about it. I think it could happen one day. They kind of do it at their DC sessions.
Right.
But I honestly haven't been to one of those in a long time. If you do DC, they have a very close thing to doing an operation session, but it's not
fascinating.
Yeah, it's nearly there, I think.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I thought during operations might be a lot easier with DCC than DC, but
I agree. I would have thought so too, but I think maybe one day.
Yeah,
something I think we've got to talk about.
That's what all I use on my way bills and switch lists. As I said, I'm predominantly European steam, and I use an American-based system to run it. So I'm all over. I don't care. As long as I have fun, I have
That's
fun.
it. That's the important thing.
Yeah. So now,
awesome.
Let's just bring your website up, because that's something that needs to be acknowledged.
Okay.
Are you a photographer by trade, by any chance?
I kind of am. Yeah. So okay. I have a business which is William James Photography, which for a while it was my primary source of income. I do work in, I guess, the photographic industry. I am a salesperson at I can say it. I work at JD Hi-Fi in the city.
Nice.
as the camera specialist
Yeah.
for Melbourne. So yeah, I do that now rather than have to chase work and things like that, which is much more enjoyable. But I still shoot a wedding every now and again, things like that. So yeah, I do have quite a photography background.
Yeah, just some of your photos are just absolutely stunning.
Thank you very much.
Obviously, some scrolling through here, so they're all sort of local photos to your local area, or you go?
Yeah, absolutely. So I live in a bit of both. Like I live in the northern suburbs, which is, I mean, it takes me less than 10 minutes to get to Glenroy, which gives you the standard gauge. And yeah, like I mean, the start of what are we now? April. I went to Wagga Wagga, chased 3801. So I'm always up for a chase. But yeah, locally, I guess I've got it pretty good. And I'm in the city 5 days a week, so I start work early or finish like when daylight savings is around. I can go down to Bunbury up there. Like I mean, that's 10 minutes. Like so it's pretty accessible. Yeah.
No, these are fantastic photos. So, with an eye photography like that, I'm assuming scenery is going to be much easier for someone. Oh, there you go, 3801. Where was he?
Yeah, down a bit further there. There was a lot in between getting from there to here.
There we go. Well, part of it. Where are we? There we go. So, give some people the 3801 is a New South Wales locomotive, but it's a bit of a iconic sort of steam engine here in Australia for those that don't know. If I can actually get the photo, there we go. That's a lovely photo.
Yeah. Need to go a little bit further down because this was all just on the transfer when they brought it down. And I think a bit towards the bottom. When it was running shuttles for this was the Easter weekend.
Yeah, nice.
There you go.
The artistic shots, love it.
Yeah,
that's a good one. So you sell these photos on your website?
Nope.
No,
they're for everyone. I'm not looking to make any money out of them. I do sell some railway merch, but that's also kind of just for fun. I don't make a lot out of it. Just...
Do you make those? They're those little badges, aren't they? So
yeah, the enamel pins. Yeah,
you make those.
And I got and I got the stickers as well. Just a bit of a process, but there'll be more, I guess, soon. It's so
that's why I like fun. So how do you emboss that? Or how's that made?
No, I couldn't tell you that.
Well, I don't want to copy it. I'm just saying.
No.
They're metal. Are they?
Yeah, they're enamel.
Enamel. Sorry.
Yeah, but it was just a lockdown kind of thing, and then now it's just a bit of fun. I guess it helps pay for YouTube. I think is the easiest way to put it. Or I've been going on more and more heritage trips and things like that. So I basically just sink all the money that comes out of that either into more pins or going on trips, which is nice. I just wanted to make something.
Have you thought of diving into other railways, like because obviously that VR, that's very, very traditional Victorian railways, sort of South Australian railways, the SAR, Sybil, or New South Wales Railway, or
it's all. I've pretty much drawn it all up. It's just a matter of getting it done. Unfortunately, life gets in the way and work and everything else. But
so you make them at home, do you? You make them at home? No. You get
no.
Yeah, someone makes them. Okay. Cool.
Yes. Yeah. I'm not that skilled.
Fantastic.
But it's a bit of fun. They're all made locally, so it's good.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So we digress there a little bit. Now,
it's all good.
Yeah. With your eye for photography, what sort of features? I suppose let's link this back to your layouts. So, what sort of features are you seeing through the eye, the lens of the camera that you want to sort of bring back to model railroading? So
I think something I tend to notice about, I guess, how things are and to model railways, I think minimalism's something. Like, I don't want to over-clutter anything, which I think is a tricky one. So I think a lot of us want everything. But in real life, there's usually around a railway yard and things like this, there's not always that much, especially the area I'm looking at kind of trying to reproduce. So,
Sure.
yeah, I guess a bit of minimalism is the best way to describe it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, try not to over clutter things. That's yeah.
I think that's a very good. There's a Danish chap. He does American called Pelle Soberg.
Mm-hmm.
If you've read any model railroad magazines of recent years, he's put his name on a lot of those, and he's very like that, very minimalist. Less is more type scenario, and just the man's eye is incredible. But
have you ever seen the Murray Bridge layout? That gets around, yeah.
Is that the one with the big bridge? Is that one with the big bridge? Yes.
Yep. So they're the guys who do that, and I'm terribly sorry if they watch this because I've forgotten their names. But I do mention it I did a video at the Diamond Creek exhibition last month. They have another layout, which is the American, which is Checamus Canyon.
Right.
It's the same kind of principle. Like they've gone with just very focused, single track, just minimal kind of. Yeah, I mean that's Murray Bridge has won a lot of awards.
Yeah,
I was going to say it's just not just ours, but it seems to clean. Yeah,
because we've got a model train show coming up in June, long weekend, all being good.
Yep.
So beauty.
Yeah, ours is not going ahead, unfortunately.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if ours goes ahead. So,
but I think yours. I had a look at it. You do have to pre-book for that. Like they're at least on top of that aspect. Yeah. Whereas, I mean, the one we had not that long ago was still. It would seem very normal. Just turn up and away you go. But hopefully.
Yeah, no, I'm going along to help a mate out at his layout. So. Which is all sort of Australian wheat, and he does his around. He traces trains. What's it called? Crystal Brook, which is north of Adelaide.
Okay,
a few hours north of Adelaide, where the train comes up. From my understanding, up from Adelaide. Then obviously the train's coming across from Port Augusta and to head eastwards or up to New South Wales or. Down to your neck of the woods, I think. So,
awesome.
So it's like a interchange, I suppose. It's one of a better phrase. So,
cool.
So you're going to look at doing photo real backdrops, or?
I haven't even got that far yet. I've thought about it, but I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
I honestly haven't thought about it yet.
I've heard some fors and against photo backdrops that. Sometimes they're the photos, and looking at your photos, they're that good that you don't want the photo backdrop better than what you want the model at. If that makes not taking away from your modelling skills, but I'm trying to say, like, obviously a photo backdrop is pristine and sharp, and it wants a little bit of out of focusedness to it. I suppose I'm not sure. I've never done it personally.
Yeah,
but
that's I think I don't think I will. If I had to give an answer right now, I don't think I would use a photo backdrop. I think it would just be something very neutral.
Yeah. Get those painting skills.
Oh, absolutely. But I mean, at the same time, if it is something that's a flat color, there's no reason you can't Photoshop it in after the fact.
Correct.
If you really want to go down that route,
or just use a few buildings here and there and put them on some foam core board and make it a bit more three-dimensional, sort of.
I think it'll be more likely I'll go down. I guess is it low relief? Like more than anything. I think that's and like just use fences and trees and things like that. I think to break as I guess scenic break. I suppose is the way to kind of look at it. I think that'll be more likely where I'll go with it.
Yeah, as they say, any blemishes can be covered up with a tree.
Absolutely, yeah, that's it.
Little seams, you'd be surprised what I've covered up with trees. A bit of lichen, chuck that in there.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Very good. All right, what time we got here? 38:55. So, I suppose if size was not an issue, I always like asking this question because, hey, we're all size space poor in this hobby because what would be your dream layout? I suppose. How would you think that would look?
So I have thought about it, and I think at this point, if you know, if I could, it would be something. It'd probably, if I had almost unlimited space, I suppose you'd have something city, be Melbourne-ish, with a suburban aspect into probably the Ballarat line as it was pre, I guess, in the late 80s. So you get that mix of, the jets with the V-line services and then everything in between. I mean, we had the South Australian jumbos, your suburban.
Yeah.
They were coming to Ballarat to get serviced.
Wow.
So I've seen pictures of that, and like you had like red hens coming across here. You had,
nice.
you had a lot going on, and I think that would be, if I could pick it, it would be that. It would be operations. It would be timetabled. I think that would be a lot of fun because they had the sheer amount of traffic that was on that line at the time. It's not double track; it's single track. So it'd be a lot of switching. And if I could push even further, you go into that Wimmera, grain belt kind of area. I think that'd be if I had enough space, that would be something like that. Yeah. So I guess intermodal port to grain, and that would be grouse, but that would be an enormous undertaking.
A big layout is a big juggernaut, I must admit. So
I couldn't even imagine, like, watching some of these YouTubers who are building these, megalayers, or is it La Mesa? Their club layout?
Yeah.
Like,
in California.
Incredible. Yeah. Like, that's huge, but looks amazing.
Yeah.
And that's all very similar. Like, they've got single lines. They use bankers, everything like that. Like, that would be, I reckon that's great. Like, 2 different train crews. That's great. Yeah. I reckon that would be a really fun aspect. I mean, you'd have that on, that layout, that was just a hypothetical layout. That was the same thing. They had banking engines that used to run out of Ballarat to push them up the hill. So, it'd be very similar.
Yeah,
that'd be, if I had unlimited space, that'd be something.
Money. And the money.
And money, absolutely.
And time.
And
time. You find, if you got the money, you find the time, trust me. So.
Yeah, absolutely. But, what about you? What would you have?
Well, my current layout is in a 10 by 10 meter enclosure, like line shed. So I'm very lucky that I live on a rural property south of Adelaide. So I have a reasonable size layout. I'm sort of 12 or 13 years into it. So
right, awesome.
If I had my time again, I would totally rip that up.
Okay.
In portions. Because some of it was poorly planned. So what I suggest, if you are going to do a layout, plan to the nth degree, you're not probably so bad because you're always going to have, short little distances. That's one mistake I made, that some of my backtrack is quite difficult to get to. So that's
right.
Bad mistake. I sort of haven't had too many issues with it just yet. So hopefully not. If not, it's getting up on the step ladder and sort of reaching right across everything. But, it's a really good question. I don't know. I reckon I'd probably go. Track plan might be a little bit different, but a lot more automation. So I'm sort of into the Arduino and all that side of things. I might even go smaller, to be quite honest with you, and just fit more detail in what I've got. Because obviously what you find with a larger layout, and it's pretty well built by myself and another elderly gentleman who lives close by, that we it's my layout, but he comes up and helps me. Being this is sort of my second layout that I've built, I reckon I might go something smaller, to be quite honest with you, and fit more ultra detail and ultra realism within that. So,
nice.
The whole less is more, I think, scenario is very, very relevant. So I'm sort of also diving into what they call, I don't know if you've seen it, called virtual operations. So literally I've got it set up in a way with my train controller program that I could allow you access to my train computer, and you could
Right.
run trains on my layout effectively over the internet. So, and you would see the computer screen and as trains transverse through the layout, and I've only installed a few rail fanning CCTV cameras that you would be able to access as well. You would see the trains go around the layout. So I would probably get more heavily into that side of things as well.
Unreal. Yeah, that sounds awesome. But yeah, cool. So is that what's next for you, for your layout? More of that kind of
I've got it to a point where I can run it like that, but I need to, I've concept tested it just sort of running the trains from outside via like the 4G or 5G network. So getting into the computer that way, so you're not using the same Wi-Fi within the property, so you're using it outside, because that tests your settings. I don't know if you've heard of port forwarding before for computer side of things, where you can actually access via a port computer. So, so I'd like to get more into that type of thing, but time. It's quite time consuming and trying to work this stuff out. There's a few people obviously in the States where I've learnt from how to do it. Just phenomenal. They're making little, so they'll have their engine and then they'll have a flatbed car in front of it with a Wi-Fi camera on it with a lithium ion battery. And it'll follow it around, and it's just phenomenal.
Awesome.
So
that's really cool.
And all this stuff is like Arduino based or another one that's almost Arduino. It's called a ESP32, and you're only paying for the whole setup, or camera and board and battery. $10 maybe, if you want to get it from Alibaba or something over in China. So it's nothing. It's
cool.
So a lot of good fun. So I'll probably dive into that side of things. Probably make a layout smaller. So
right. That's fair.
So very good. All right, Will. Been going for nearly 45 minutes. It's been a lovely chat, nearly 50 minutes actually. It's been an awesome chat with you, and lovely to meet you. So thank you so much for coming along and chatting with me at Model Railway Techniques. As I said, I'll put all the links to everything below. Make sure you get on those badges for the SAR ones, because I'll buy a swag. I've got a few people over here would buy those.
Absolutely.
The chap that actually, I might chat to you after, I might buy some of those, because he's from Victoria. Used to be from your part of the world, so he would love the VR ones. So I'll have to show him those. So. So thanks for coming along.
No, thank you very much for having me. I really, really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Make sure you subscribe, click that little bell icon to be notified of upcoming videos. Support us on Patreon, like us on Facebook and Instagram at Model Railroad Technique.